Islam. Let's continue. This is where we stop at. So we're gonna start again with some from that same group. I don't gotta go no other group. That group is enough to show you the mind state. They're gonna show you some stuff from today. So you already got this crazy looking motherfucker again. And that's the stuff they post. Again, these people never post about themselves. For some reason, they gotta post about morals and their perceived histories. But I comment on this one. I can show you what I comment in a minute. They got another one that's ridiculous. He claiming. That's how I know these people be agents because only because we asking him why he going against his own people for these people like here. Why he agreeing with these people against his own people. And now he try to justify why now because we saying that. So these people be agents now. They be forgetting like, damn, I gotta mix them up. I can't be too against them because they're gonna throw me off or something. You gotta be because you got. And I see plenty of people ask this man if he's a bot or a real person. where he be talking. But he said that's why I go so hard on the so-called Wabble community. I guess that means Aboriginal in America, Moors who claiming to be from here, alright? And he said some dude thinks people of the Africa diaspora, you see, all these people say use this right here. Instead of Moorish Empire, they use this term, which means nothing. Moorish Empire means legally and lawfully rights of trade routes, dominion over lands, habitation on certain land. All that is in what we saying when we say Moorish Empire. We talking about the whole world. We talking about billions of dark-skinned people who is airship today legally. So when you switch this up and like this, you dealing with social stuff that ain't got nothing to do with what I just finished talking about. You just be in the social realm with the shit. But you say need to get off his land and go back to Africa. So I guess this is one of them now. You know, he agree with these people that we ain't really from here. Now when people turn around to him and tell him, well, go back to Africa where you belong, he ain't know what to say. So he's saying, because he don't listen to us, the Wabble community telling this dummy, the land under your feet is the Africa. And these be the same dude again with their ID. Should say Atlanta, Georgia as home, as address and place of residence. On our place of inhabitation. And when I say residence, they say inhabitation. Say Northwest of Maxim / Africa. So I being what he fantasizing about. While he fantasizing about they ain't gonna never go. I already in Africa. Me and a lot of other Moors. Our ID say that. So basically we more Pan-African, quote unquote, than them. We just being the real shit. Using terms they don't even understand or even care to understand. We get because that's the white man dictionary, right? That's what he like to say, right? And these people, you gotta think about it like this too. They believe what you believe. They believe you from there. And these people come here, Ellis Island, after the fact. They ain't come here when the time when they allegedly bring you from there. They come here and learn that in the same schools you learn that. The same way you learn that. in Roman schools during the Ellis Island period, and they believed that. So I don't know when the last time all these people sit down and did my history, did our history, did our the research into who we is and all that. I know when they did that to know. So basically, if they saying that, I gotta look into that because they don't know me. Let me see. They call them living our indigenous lands. So is this supposed to be based on copper? African Americans are brown lighting compared to their West African counterparts from centuries ago prior to European admixture. So you see, he asking questions, but he telling you what it is based off what he believe. Because he add based off European admixture because you may be lighter than the Moors over there. And we know that ain't the case. Probably let people presume that based off the presumption of the history, say, of which African Americans are brown because of the near quarter. European admixture, which is why brown instead of black. And you see, that's why we don't deal with colors because um, we call people like Stephen Curry black, and he's a Moorish American, and we call people like Rihanna black, and that's a Moorish American. We call people like Wesley Snipes black, and that's a Moorish American. You see, and you got customs, similar customs, matching blood, phenotype, customs, language, and and that create a sense of togetherness. Then that's a nation of people, and that nation people got a name. And you're dealing with colors, eventually you could be pulling out the brown paper bag to see who part of your nation or not, because you're dealing with color. Some people will be look different. Some people, we got plenty different features in the Moorish nations around the world. Plenty, from the lightest complexions to the darkest, different facial features, different hair textures. But if those people family, then they part of a particular nation of people. Or when you look at it in college, you get these confusers like us who always got open their mouth. And again, he talking as if he ain't one. Like he talking from a outside party talking. And you see, they want to be nice, and then they talk. Then they ask a question that they're trying to play games with you. So when he get his degree to educate him in genetics, you don't have to have a degree in genetics to know that so-called black peoples and or those of African descent, you see, have a variety of multiple shades of brown. Right, literally, his background with them letters sitting on, that's black, and the letters is white, and nobody on the planet either one. So you already retarded from that point of view, and confusing to the children. The children never pick out a black crayon out the crayon box or a white crayon out the crayon box if she painting humans, he or she painting humans, the child. So the child got more understanding, at least in that sense. And you telling them they black and white, automatically giving her confusion. So it's, and then if they question you on that, then you ain't know how to answer them because you was basking in these terms for so long. He said, it's as if I said all the Spanish speaking people in the Americas must have admixture of pure Europeans from Spain. Like they don't think about these simple things. They're so quick to worry about you. So he getting back into the illusions. Again, it don't matter who mixed with who or what, and none of that. You ain't gonna be at the end of the day. You gonna be, calling children and people a million different terms, breaking everybody up and conquering everybody. People who divide, they will be conquered. They divide amongst themselves, and that always happens when you're dealing with complexion and on a caste system. And what he talking about, basically everybody on the planet gonna be listed as quadroons, octoroons, and it could be a million different drones. If you go by how they think, especially the DNA test, of how they classify people and they break them up. Because look, Stephen Curry, he got a he got a Roman mother and a Moorish father. He choose to live as the Moors live, which he look at as the Black Americans or whatever, and we accept that. So he, being Moorish American, he picked on the custom of the Moors. So it ain't matter about his Roman blood. He picked on the customs, his blood customs and similar tongue and affinities, the affinities that bind you. Most likely live in the same communities, and that's how nations form. And then at the end of the day, that's a way to get away from all the shit they're talking about now with the critical race theory and all that they're talking about. How about you proclaim a nationality in a flag and be proud of that and respect the next one? Just like the Olympics. You see, everybody respect their flag and their country. Ain't nobody care about what complexion, nobody else. They just want that flag to get over that finish line first. We together tonight. They gonna be hugging each other tonight. We ain't here. The white and the black Jamaican. So you saying? So when they get back home now, they back to they ain't the same no more. So they fighting again, right? But you only can come together under nationality, the science of that. If you doing it under the science of race, then it could be plenty children again like Stephen Curry, who got a mixed parentage, who will be confused and exiled by both sides, because both sides dealing with the racial and the color and complexion. And the man only know how to act like us as more. So he been just around his daddy's side for a while. They got these people like this. I already tell you about these names. They try to make them sound American. All the goddamn letters, we ain't nothing but italic letters. Moors on all over the world been using this letters for a long time. They created and using it for a long time. And these keyboards got plenty different script. If these people been using other scripts, then this show as hell using my script a lot. But at the end of the day, you got Ra, ancient Egyptian Ra. Ta, which is the. You got Hualpa. We're going to talk about him later, who I believe is Hualpa. You got Paz, which is Pax or Fez. You got Hidalgo, which is a noble in the old Moorish Empire of Spain, Andalus. Almansa, already like Almanzor. Already. Of the sun, Suncoat, Quinque, which is something like Cacique, but a different version, a king. All old Moorish American shit. That, cause almost literally everybody under some kind of Moorish hegemony, cause you ain't gonna come out of a world that been dominated by a group of people for all these centuries, and all of a sudden, just because that switch in the mind of multitudes, that means everything switch. If you skill enough, you'll be able to still see the whole shit. Bastardize and everything. And so it's he comment on the same thing. Say, nah, it's due to European admixture, goofy. If you want to see what real, authentic black people look at, just look at Haitians. So you see, now to be black, you gotta be very dark skinned. So you see, a brown paper bag to be under that nation called black. So that displacing a lot of our family members. Me, I ain't even in black no more, cause he said it, right? I European admixture, cause I ain't like the Haitians, the Moors out there. See, and that's what people think. See, there are some African Americans who are 40% plus European, like the Hart twins, is their light skin due to all that European ancestry. And he put a picture. But at the end of the day, it's about who they want to be. Their nation, what nation you feel like you is. If they call themselves black, then they Moors. If they call themselves white, then they Romans. They after them, and they after them and their children too. Because all they gotta do is get a sister from around here, and you wouldn't even know their daddy had 40%. See what I'm saying? So call European, because that don't make no sense. Ain't no such thing as a white gene. Genetics. So you got genetics that makes people's skin certain complexions. You got genetics that make people hair certain colors and textures. Genetics that make, like Cheddar Man. Cheddar Man with dark skin with blue eyes and blonde hair. And all this proof is that Moors been, and must be been in Europe for a long time. Cause plenty of people, a lot of people got brown hair, black eyes, dark eyes, and all kind of shit. So they could breed that out of them. It's like basically like England, when she get rid of most of the Moors in England. They ain't get rid of all, because a lot of them still there thinking they from Jamaica, but they they amalgamate with each other based off complexion and race. At the end of the day, you getting into enslavement. And like if their parents in love, why we gotta punish them? Why we gotta look at them? What they did wrong? What crime they commit if their parents mix from two different of the Roman and the Moorish nation? If you start calling these people mixture and mulattoes and stuff, that's the problem. They start of whatever nation they choose to be of, whatever nation that family, whatever flag that family plays their allegiance to. But again, if we want to go there, then everybody on the planet is bastards because everybody got mixtures. So it become what, a million different terms to term these things. So you get out of hand. Stick with nationalities. So again, man right here, he he don't want us to say in our land to him. He gotta tell us that every day too. And this is supposed to be the Mayans, even though the Mayans paint themselves, and the Aztecs and all these old ancient American things, they paint themselves. You see what I'm saying? So we don't need nobody to tell us how they look. They paint themselves on the wall. And they had every color paint we got. If you look on the paintings, they using paint that look like so-called pale skin people paint, right? Where it was used to make their skin like how the modern day Mayans was these people. They could have did that because they had the paint. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't. So you gotta people looking at this and trying to tell you they ain't dying what you seen for whatever reason. And then we all know copper is from dark to just one of the lightest of copper, the cleanest. When we play these games, You see, aquiline, and you like to say whites or so-called natives got the aquiline features and not us, right? Because they looking at it on the walls, right? And I know plenty of people who got aquiline features with dark skin, but it said curved like an eagle's beak, hook nose, aquilinus, like an eagle, aquilia, an eagle. Usually explained as the dark bird. Aquilius or blackish, swarthy, or color of darkness. So it ain't matter what phenotypes, it ain't matter what complexion really, because again, you can see people gonna have affinity to their family, they gonna stick with their family. And if their family full with dark skinned people, them dark skinned people gonna accept them and they gonna stick it with them. So they gonna call themselves the same thing. Again, black. They gonna call themselves black today. So we done with that for the day. But we gonna still see some more. We gonna deal with race, the end of South, because that's all slavery been. They must understand the lack of knowledge by these Moors, not knowing who they are, calling themselves Negroes, blacks, coloreds, Indians, Ethiopians, Romans, Englishmen, calling themselves everything except for the ancient empire, which is the Moorish Empire. On paper, once the empire started to get rid about on paper, the term Moorish Empire been used. I can't go back and change to another term if you don't like that term. Now my fault that you taking words too serious. You're not about sounds and figures. Just use intelligence and embrace that. Embrace intelligence. Say in Eastern Colombia, native cities of Velez, a Moorish city on the other side too, and Tunya, remember, is Tangiers or Tangerine. Kukura, I think, is Vutura. But again, when you got different map makers in different time periods coming and mapping it and changing it based off, they don't know how to pronounce certain things or mispronounce what they're hearing. And a lot of time on purpose. Socorro, which we got in North America, all these Colombian history is very connected to the South and North America, obviously because of the right there. You can just hit the waters and go back and forth, and that Gulf of Mexico, which is our seas, right here, out this course, hit the islands and hit the South. We got Socorro. Let me see if they got still to this day. New Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Sao Paulo, Texas. On maps, you see, I think you saw it in the Florida area or Carolina areas. Name of a king. Right next to the Kingdom of Morocco, which put the name of the king. In the South, they used to put the name of the king. If you go read the stories of those place names, even the name of the Cacique who ran the city. So you get good stories when you go look at that old map of Florida. And Moors manufactured textiles and commercial modes, emerald mines outside of Bogota, and then that's what they used to do too. Remember we read about King King Bogota, and the name of the place is Bogota. Same science. They rely on African laborers, Moors, other sectors of the Colombian economy, like tobacco, cotton, art, and shit. And that's what same stories we got right in the South. Other sectors of the Colombian economy, like tobacco, cotton, artisanship, artisanship, and domestic work, would have been impossible without malls. Like I always say, we had not to do this stuff. So that been the main goal: try to get as much malls either baptized into it catch them off guard, especially in their fisheries and stuff like that. The blacksmiths, they've been kidnapping each other blacksmiths. Moors were kidnapping other blacksmiths from different Moorish kingdoms because that was the most important thing you had one blacksmith because he know how to make the swords and the shields. Him and his team, they gonna blow that shit up and they gonna make some military shit. So those type of things been important. And that's just one aspect, man. A lot of stories out there. I can show you some books later. See if you want to get more detail on this history. Many malls in, of what have been the kingdom of affairs in the Sus for us. Have been Guinea for Portugal, Africa. Have been at the time when we see the kingdom of Grenada, I believe. Let's check. Today is Colombia, and they call them Afro-Colombians. But I just giving you a timeline, right? I giving you your timeline, not the ones that they give you in school, because your ass gonna be 1,000 miles away. So yeah, Venezuela and Colombia, and then it became Colombia and Venezuela over time. But then they talking about the time period when they going through all those changes now, and you here during the whole time. Cause they fighting against the Spanish. That's wars between Moors and Christians. You see what I'm saying? So they try to make them look like slaves had to mean to fight against the same people who captured them. These people were supposed to be the mighty ones, right? With the advanced weaponry and stuff. But every story showing so-called revolts and battles and shit. Coming from the Spain side, they've been every time you see them going to fight going overseas to fight the Moors and the Portuguese, because they've been at war with both nations at the time. So whoever they been fighting, whoever they meet and battle with, they know even one of those too, because they know everybody else who calling themselves all these other terms, they ain't been even no worthy opponents. So the record books showing is they fighting against Moors or Portuguese or other nations against their holy faith, which is most likely other Moors who probably got different customs, like so-called Jews. Moors were calling themselves that for a long time too. Say their colonial force and their freedom as soon as they arrive in Colombia. So they had to start the story of them fighting as soon as they get here, cause it just the fact that they already been here, they can't let you know that. So they know that shit ain't gonna make no sense. Showing how early they fight these wars is between these people. Say, hold up now, if these people been here or what? Those were escaped for their oppressors, but live in a free black African town called Palenques, but they would live as Cimarrones or fugitives. Some historians consider Coco to be a very big Palenque, and that's just saying Moraria, more towns. Right now we call it a hood. Any place where Moors at. Sometimes you call it Little Africa. But they would call it Palenques, so that's where you can go look and find some more American history under that term. And also Cimarrones, we know these terms they use against us, especially in the area of Baldo River. That's where Cimarron leaders like the Bencos Piajo and Barole fought for freedom. And then we look at the stories. They be a lot of them. It be thousands of them attacking. So how if only the slave like one of the ones like the Kashikwe, the king, because they always say he escaped. How the hell they let them just go in run away, go bull up, get weapons? I know where they're getting the rest of the so-called blacks from. Like everybody who run away from their plantation, they meet up one place and start a nation. That's how I should reading. And he like him, Bioho, he going and what generations going by and they build up the things. Y'all just let them sit in there peaceful, had children, grow up, train them in military. Now they got a multitude of them, and now they coming back. What? I don't get that. They just trying to beat around the bush that these are Moorish Americans, and that's their land. And it's the land of Moors. The thing is, none of these people over here want that to be. A lot of them come from because that's like Africa. They mind frame. They think Africa belongs to so-called dark-skinned people, so they ain't gonna go there. That's like if I go to China, anyone else go to China, we know how people look who we consider Chinese, so we consider that's the people land and our subconscious. So going to places like Nigeria or thing and those in their mind that's those people land. But when they come here, it's like Disneyland, like ain't nobody land where y'all get to come here and play. So you playing disrespecting me, cause I making it claim like this mine, and anybody who believe otherwise, then bring your claim, bring your evidence, and that'll be that. Or sit down and shut the fuck up. One of the two, ain't only two options. Just like the Chinese man would do if we try to call him, if we try to call him Afro or Euro Chinese. So we go over there and try to change his name to Euro Chinese and change our name to just Chinese. That's just gonna be ridiculous. Everybody in the world gonna stop me from doing that. So that's why that mind state we gotta get back here. We gotta know that these people lying. You know, goddamn 1492 and none of that shit. None of that shit real. And law, this the Moorish Empire, United States, none. They've been the last ones to leave evidence behind of that when they did the Treaty of Peace of Friendship. And since then, it's been a straight free fall into the ignorance. And that's the prophecy of the biblical prophecy. Our people suffer through lack of knowledge. And you talk about in these times. So now they're getting into the Afro-Colombians. And you see these people got towns, whole towns out there. Which makes sense. It coincide with what I telling you. This the Moorish Empire and it should store around you. They've been stories been showing that we've been deserting whole towns when we wild men been coming to attack the castle and shit. The people of the town, the fort about to fall, they're gonna abandon the town. That the fort covering the town from getting attacked. So if they get word that abandon the town, the soldiers gonna send a message to tell the women and children to go to another spot. So people living in towns that they got that Moors been built. You know, story showing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Just like what somebody would consider Spanish, but that's the whole point. This is Moorish America. That if you find the Spanish so-called culture and stuff in West Africa, that just showing you that Moors from here been over there. The Latin and the so-called Spanish and the Portuguese type tongues and shit. Cause they damn sure been in Spain and Portugal and in America. And we cause issues. because they keep trying to play these people. Like again, they ain't got that same understanding that the world got as Chinese people from China. They already done play these people with Afro such and such so much that the world don't even respect it. They come here and they beat them up in the stores and all that type of shit. Nobody else on this planet got that understanding. They got a home with a name that connects to that, and everybody else got to put the qualification on who it is if they won't be there and get adopted. If I want to get adopted in the Chinese by the Chinese and be a Chinese citizen, I could be a Moorish Chinese because I was a Moor in China. I don't get to be them. So that's why we qualify over here, and we qualify as Moorish because that's the land of Moors. Everybody else is adopted to these people. That's us, their land. But they adopt you now. They adopt you off the auspices that they kidnap you, so they're sorry and they ain't gonna run you back. But the fact that you still adopted, you on my land, that's why they looking at you, playing you. My story, you at the upper hand in the situation, but people keep falling for us. It's off one term, and then get mad at me and say I ain't this and that. I ain't this and that continent over there. Those Moorish kingdoms, because many of my overseas kingdoms still over there in law. You had nobles put in the states in under certain jurisdictions, just like Canada is England over here. We've been doing type stuff like that, but since we don't understand these things no more, it like spookism. They continue to protest for their rights and demand equality between themselves and all non-so-called African Colombians in certain social aspects. Social issues concerning Afro-Colombians range from social-economic equalities to physical violence to other forms of inequality and discrimination. Colombia sound familiar? They did the same thing that we need, the Circle 7. And take heed. And nationality. Statesmanship, nationhood, knowing thyself historically, so we'll be able to operate, get back in order wherever we fall from. If I running up the steps and I trip up on one, I got fall, catch that one step and keep going, and don't trip up next time, because I know the history. Dancers from Chocoland, Puebla perform the Moorish dance during the pilgrimage to the, and they're doing pilgrimages, and they got spots. You got plenty of spots where you got the pilgrimages. You got Peru. You got some in you know the Temple of the Moon and Sun in Mexico. Different places and stories. So I looking at this like, well, so Indians doing pilgrimage too now, huh? You know, at first I had all this information that these were Moors, really. Art is a part of an empire that been already established and recorded. But none of that shit makes sense to me. And it's the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that's them right here. Moon coat. So even the people there now, they on Facebook, allegedly supposed to be on Facebook talking shit to me, but the real people who down there who ain't agents, you'll have good conversations because they will be recognized what you're saying to them about history. The Moorish nation, run deep. The traditional line and stick dancing, which depict the ancient battle between Osiris and Seth, Cain and Abel. This was introduced into Britain, possibly from Moorish Spain, and is now called a Moorish dance, either Moorish dancing or perhaps Morris dancing, named after the stellar Morris or sea star, a pseudonym for the mother of Jesus. Same thing, both. Morris dancing is traditionally supposed to illustrate the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a role that is similar to the ancient tradition of the phoenix and the god Osiris. The carrying of the green branches in the Moorish dancing is also significant of Osiris was the green god of Egypt, and he had been linked to the cult of the green man in medieval and Tudor England. So Moorish hegemony is everywhere. Let me see, still doing this shit. And then people come around later who either know or don't know what they're doing, but they're gonna write an article about them. This person right here know exactly what that is. Ancient Empire, Egypt, which is Moorish, you see. Osiris and Seth, and the biblical Cain and Abel, which culminated itself as Moorish dancing because the learned man knew that that's the line of the Moors. In this book, Moors, French, and Jews, three presence in Brazil. People writing about stuff they finding, just like I doing, that people perceive to be foreign, but they don't understand real empires and dominions and stuff that been going on all around the world, mixing and shit. Moko Yuba, Novzari, like Nazarite, the Marapitanas, which is the Moabites, or the Almoravids, and that, again, Mara, it's like the Aramaic for Lord. The Abade River, that's important to know, that Abade, that's in the Canaries, and they got a lot of stories dealing with more, so we see where they come from. Again, Carthage, Villanova, or the new city of Fez. This again off the coast, or Morocco, which is Brazil. You got Almeri Ana, and you got the Caliphate, Califate, in the west, Maya, which is another version of Maya. We got a Mayo. We got a Mayo in West Africa in those islands. To show you how much it's the same thing. Caliphate is right there in the map of where I tell you that's been the Sultan Guyana. They had that just split up into the Southern one right there, the French, the Dutch, the English, the Spanish. All they had this shit boarded up too. Like this my side, my side, my side. And yours are right there. The whole time, the whole thing is land of Moors showing you that they take that from you and you were just holding on to pieces and pieces until you just lose your mind so much that the last vestiges of the Moors just going right into the mountains of Africa overseas and live. Like, you know, shit getting crazy as hell. Tierra Preta, again, black land, terms like that. And the mapper. So you got Rome, the Duke of Aveiro, you got Moors, the Moorish Knights, the Moro Knights, and you see it go back to older tongues. We ain't saying nothing new. We ain't saying use it more because the Moors want to debate on YouTube. People who call themselves the Moors, because common sense would tell you that both of the people who debating, both of them Moors. They just don't know. One know and one don't. That's all that is. But before everybody on this planet was born, it's just been known already. It ain't something we just pulling out because we like that group. See, the first man like Adam is the son of earth and an El, or angel. So you see a man named Ben Razi El. He honored his ancestors to the point where he stole the same name from the first so-called man, the angel, Elohim of the Orientals of the East. It means in Haitian, so even in Haiti, he stole using those aspects: son, offspring, family, and tribe. It would often recur in subsequent history in the singular form to plural. The plurals were Eli or Eli, or Guaili, another version of that term. How they want to say us Gali, or well, every time you look up the Europeans or the Romans, when they talk about us, when they can't help themselves, when they do talk about Gala Geechee culture, the first thing they would do is say that derive a short version for Angola. But they don't proceed to tell you where Angola come from, what the etymology of that. Because that might just be both the same words, showing you Moors on both sides saying the same thing, but got different dialects, like we've been showing you. So, but the reason they tell you that, because they're trying to tell you from there, and they ain't care what you say, or what your true history is. That's what they say. But again, we find the Garle, Guale, and they can see a little French version. They say Gal means the people, or this, and Ile means the sun, this sun, or God, or El. And I can see Guale being the same thing, but that's just theories. We throwing out the theory because we studying our own history for a change instead of worrying about what they saying. But Wikipedia could say he come from Angola, and then I show you Galilee means a circuit or a city. All those terms, Galilee, Angola, and these terms could all mean that. It can mean a city, which would make sense because they all place names. So that's how intelligent people deal with theories. We put all the theories out there that we got, and we break them down, and we eliminate the ones that don't make sense. So we leave it open when we find new theories. But Angola even sound like angel, and another somebody with a different dialect. And Los Angeles means the angels in Moors Day. So we can call the city the Elves. This or such. Gua is just like ta, meaning this or the. Gua ili. Or Gua eli. So we read something from the book Color Communism and Common Sense in the last video. We're going to read a little bit more. That's the book we want to read the whole thing. It's a good book, but we ain't read the whole thing. This series, we'll read some more. So ironically, let me see if this is the beginning. Ironically, after more than 3 decades, before I start. Ironically, after more than 3 decades, the Reds can't eliminate race prejudice from their own ranks. You see, dealing with complexion, they can't ever get what the Reds been trying to do. The so-called communist countries been trying to do, been take control of the United States through subversion and using the Moors here who ain't know who they is. That's the only way you can subvert somebody who ain't got no nationality and know who they is. Which we say out our own mouth. They script us of our history. So you claiming that you don't got none, you saying somebody take that from you. Which could be true, but hey, all these years we were sending them back, we putting them together. So we ain't saying somebody take my history, we're going to find that thing, get that thing. You see what I'm saying? So you got them back, take them. But that's how the Reds been trying to use them. They call it useful idiots in the game, and they are cannon fire, like bullets for a cannon. So that's what's been happening. They've been tracking them in these groups, and then this shit ain't never worked because only true nationality gonna work. not no subversion that gonna make shit worse. So we can read about how that should turn out. Say Pettis Perry's articles clearly show that the centuries-old racial, national, social, economic, and political differences, and I just explained all that earlier. On only nation had gonna be able to deal with that properly. The difference between People's Plague and B Devil, the communist vanguard, despite indoctrination, training, discipline, and so forth. So it ain't never could have worked, because dying furthermore, the human element resists the red straitjacket. Naturally so, because you can't level everybody off, toss them in a pot, and stir them up without producing a social disorder, right? The top so-called white communist leaders know that racial, as well as other differences between peoples, have existed over a long span of years, and will continue to exist even after centuries of re-education under communist rule. They also know that these differences can be used to play race against race, nationality against nationality, class against class, etc., to advance the cause of the communism. Posing as a friend of the Negro, quote unquote, they, under the guise of a campaign for Negro rights, you see, so like Black Lives Matter, you see, go look up the pictures and shit, ain't even no more who under those little COVID masks. A Romans. They the same people who get hired since back then for the Klan political operations. They just switched to Antifa. That's why you don't see the Klan no more. They Antifa now and Black Lives Matter now. Same people. See, under the guise of a campaign for Negro rights, set race against race in the cold-blooded struggle for power. So while they got the pawns on the pawn board, the Moors who ain't on the board looking at them like, yeah, who you talking about? That always shake them up, and that's why they want to get rid of that. That's why SPCLU and all these people, because they running the operation on the black and white thing, and we the ones who messing with that, and they gonna keep that shit going as long as they could too. Their number one job is to keep you black, to keep this shit going. So their hypocrisy and their falsity of their claims are clearly revealed in a number of instances. For example, while the Reds and their fellow travelers were stoking the racial fires on the issue of restrictive covenants in New York, some 46 comrades, including the chairman, signed leases containing restrictive covenant clauses. This was also true of two leading comrades in the trade union movement. Some comrades said that those involved need a home, and therefore it's alright for them to sign such clauses. While the white Reds, so you got the black Reds and the white Reds now, right, were renting apartments and subletting them to the Negroes to stir up racial bitterness and hate such as existed in Stuyvesant Town in New York. Stuyvesant Town. They carefully avoided living in the Negro community. A top white Red was in the act of moving into Rivertown housing project in Harlem, but decided against it because the quorum in survey disclosed that only 5 to 7% of the inhabitants of the project were white families, and therefore they would have been a bad environment for his kids. But again, that same dude is the one who preaching about equality and how the white man bad and racist and stuff to these people in the red gang. You know what I'm saying? In the communist gang. So he can't practice what he preach. The white communists have nothing but contempt for Negro communists, and this is openly expressed. For instance, the white comrades living in the so-called black community and holding positions in the clubs were not on speaking terms with most of the Negro comrades. Their utter hypocrisy is also revealed in the following. White comrades going to the mass organization made up predominantly of Negro people constantly shout that we must fight for Negro rights. Yet when they meet Negro comrades and other Negro acquaintances on the street, especially in the downtown area, they do not even speak to them. And again, that's why Barack Obama, he disavowed this term, but this ain't not about black. He should be black. He shouldn't code switch like this. He's speaking in English. He should just keep it in English. But we can see that at this time, we thought that meant us instead of just meant a color, black, right? So the word black, when you speaking for a color, if Manning Johnson ever been writing something, he would have used the term black if he was talking about a color. So how they been tricking us when he translating into Spanish, and then later when we find out that Negro is black, and people been catching on to that in multitudes, they drop they black and they proud in 1970, around the 1970s. So they've been on to you. You've been on to them, and then they trick you again, and you still under the black spell. And again, one day you're gonna have to figure that shit out. Your children gonna figure it out, and they gonna look back at you like, damn, you been that dumb? What the hell? You gonna figure this easy 1 + 1 = 2 shit out? This generation. So they gonna find my videos and say, this one motherfucker been telling these people. Like you said, evidently fear and distrust the Negro male is rampant, and you say the male, because they still want your woman though. Ain't no problem dealing with her though. It's rampant in the Communist Party ranks, because when the newspaper reported case of rape, some of the white women in the party began to develop the idea that they should ask for police protection. Even despised tool of the capitalist system, the police. So you see, the tool of the capitalist system, despised tool of the capitalist system. So the same thing as back then as now. Are good to have around at times, say the comrades. From time to time, the communist leaders conduct a complete registration of all members. Any black comrades who does not register is told to do so, or else. The else means loss of job. As for instance, in New Jersey, there was a difficulty in re-registering a black woman comrade upon the comrade was informed that either she re-registered or else will be your job. Thus implying that the party would use influence to carry out the threat. Social equality for the Negro is a major slogan for the communists. They use it on the one hand to mislead the so-called black American, Negro American, and on the other hand to create anxieties and fears among white Americans to better exploit both racial groups. And that's what Black Lives Matter do. They social equality for us, right? Still the same thing. We need equality. When people around here, and I just feel like none of that. When they come here, like they had an operation and they come here and they march in a business section and they bust up windows and stuff one day. It been like every day, but to us that's like stuff on TV. But when they did come here and they had them organized, all the people from here, all the Moors from here, we just going down there and jump and get stuff and steal stuff just to use them as a disguise. And but nothing had to do with no social justice, because we don't feel that way. We free as hell around here. And we beat ass. Who the hell you talking about social justice? We beat ass now. And we do what we do. But they push the fact that we still being, you know, your boy Mark Lamont, every show he got, he worrying about being a victim of somebody, of the so-called white race. See, if he had know who he been, he would have know who they been. He would know how to deal with that in his head. See, He said Negro comrades are not walking to the homes of the white comrades. In some cases, they are received early in the morning, when neighbors may think they are domestic workers, or are welcome at night. So they still play them boy. But again, they give them trinkets. You get more than the other members, and you know what I mean. Give you this gold nugget, shiny. And when neighbors of the white comrades may not see the Negro comrade at all. Space does not permit the citing of all the many examples of the utter hypocrisy of the communists, but which shows the vast gulf between what they say and what they do. And people we call communists, people from the Eastern Bloc, Asia and Europe and stuff. These people been here and been subverting everything we've been trying to do. Setting up the United States, you got foreign nationals coming to this day one trying to subvert that and get in DC and shit. Take seats, even using terrorism, terror attacks, propaganda, war. Say space does not permit the citing of all the many examples of the utter hypocrisy when I read that. These examples serve to bring into sharp focus the infamous treachery of the Negro Reds and their Negro fellow travelers and defenders. Moreover, it conjures up their own definition of Uncle Tom, which applies more to them than to any other of us. Because he called them all Negroes from the time period. But he giving you the history. Look past his perspective of the words. The red propagandists distort the fact concerning racial differences for ulterior motives. All the right is not on the Negro side, neither is all wrong. The same holds true with regards to the white man's side. The repository of good or evil is not to be found in any particular race. But the problem is the word white means good and the word black means evil by word, by definition. So how you can't not see that. You cannot see what he just said when you're using those terms to identify each other. When you call him the white man, you call him a good man off the top. If you translate that, because you're using it for an adjective and you put man behind it, and we know you can't be using that for a color because there's no such thing as a white man in that sense. So you got to be talking about our definition and good. You talking good. So black is the opposite. And the science of colors we get to later. And the repository of good or evil is not to be found in any particular race. So-called black men are just as good or as bad as white man. Yellow men are just as good. And I gladly keep that same energy and not switch the Chinese on me, because we do that today. I just see somebody do that today on YouTube or more. He say Chinese. That happened. What happened? Your boy interview. Floyd Mayweather. He named all the national names, and then he get to him. But I'm a black American. I say, God damn it! You just should have said American. You stupid. But that's how we are now, yo. You know, see the Chinese, the Jew, and the Nigerian, and the black man walking to a bar. Like, hold up, how come all them places, all them other than at least names of places also like got some kind of national connection? But you get to call me the color. You gotta keep that same energy now. It's like this: the yellow men are just as good and bad as the brown or the red. So if it's gonna be ridiculous, keep it ridiculous or fix it. See, it behoves anyone to speak about the other. So he know all that. He didn't realize that because he started to look deeper into what they've been teaching him. But all he had to do was find one of them brothers who was standing on the corner with the flares on, with the Circle 7s in their hand in the 70s, and go see that but he already not been feel that he not been subverted, so he probably can't trust nobody. But again, a trip in the library for a couple of days, you'll figure it out. The placing of the repository of, I bet you the people in the Kremlin in Moscow know exactly who you been. I just read a book and they call them. They got in their dictionaries. They got the word more, and they say a black man, so they know exactly what he is and what he means to them. So the placing of a repository of everything, right or just, among the darker races is a dastardly communist trick to use race as a means of grabbing and enslaving in the whole humanity. So the Reds been at the same time putting out propaganda against them same people now, that they've been the robbers and the thieves, and the same thing they do now with our culture. They'll promote the murder and the killing music and nothing else, and they'll create black exploitation film and drug dealing kingpin films and slave films. So they promoting these things from one side to get all the other people who from different nations to feel and treat you certain ways based off that propaganda, and at the same time tell you those people they're racist against you. Moscow's Negro tool in the incitement of racial warfare places it in the game. Russia ain't been the only one. He just get caught by the Russians. Any foreign national, because foreign nationals know the history, so they know what to do when they want to subvert other nations who don't know who they is, and that goes for the whites and the black. They can subvert the whole United States because they realize a bunch of people over here calling themselves colors. So people like Kamala Harris, she come over here with a nationality, she gonna jump in the game too and benefit. She makes sure she get a Rolls Royce and a nice mansion out of this game. They ain't got neither. How much harm he caused? Neither. Foreign nationals. The Moscow Negro tools and the incitement of racial warfare place all the ills of the Negro at the door of the white ladies of America. Basically saying, pay these people, you gotta help them, you racist son of a bitches. And that's what they do now, right? The capitalism and imperialism are made symbols of oppressing white rule and keeping with instructions from the Kremlin. So you see how they do that now. They've been saying the Republicans and Trump, they're the racists, but they're the capitalists. And morals be the imperialists. So don't bother them neither. Don't worry about them. They oppress you too, right? And they see the Arab slave trade. They say that's they oppressing you. The Republicans and the Moors. And then you go over there and look decadent. To one familiar with red trickery. And the Kremlin is just like the Washington D.C. but Russian version, White House and shit. To one familiar with red trickery, it is obvious that placing the blame for all the Negro ills at the doors of the white leaders in America is to remove all responsibility from the Negro. This tend to make the Negro feel sorry for himself. True. Blame others for his failures. Ignore the countless opportunities around him. Like he should be worrying about everything that Allah has granted him and his children. Everything they need, and all you gotta do is teach them the right way and get back to the ways of your ancestors. Jealous of the progress of other racial national groups, basically national groups. Expect the white man to do everything for him in this 1960s. And these subconsciously things, a lot of Moors are gonna say, a lot of people who say, well, I don't believe that. They don't got me thinking that way. But subconsciously, I'll catch something. They can say, hey, now, listen, I can see how you act in that situation. I'll answer to that question. You look for easy and quick solutions as a substitute for the harsh realities of competitive struggle to get ahead. The result is a persecution complex, a warped belief that the white man's prejudice, the white man system, the white man government is responsible for everything, and it's a false belief that the system is a so-called white man system or government got anything to do with somebody's complexion. These old moral scientists that we refuse to learn and participate in for whatever reason. And the Moors back then had to deal with terrorism and political warfare between the politicians. Nowadays, it ain't gonna be too much of that. Especially if you're assholes who go into politics at the same time, they ain't gonna step up, but gonna step the fuck down. They ain't gonna start like back then. Them boys back then put on them, and they probably our so-called black political opponents who would put on the damn sheet and did that. You gotta understand this chess. He's getting fooled by the pictures, the right pictures, bro. The next logical step is hit that can be used by the Reds to accomplish their ends in their campaign against the white leaders in America. The Reds are careful to point out that this does not apply to the white leaders of Russia and their counterparts. It's just the American ones, like how the Democrats do. Through the whole year, they talk about how racist the Republicans are, like they're good white guys. I guess they're the good ones, right? Because we all looking at these people like shit. Ain't y'all family, right? Ain't y'all family? Last time AJ, who's y'all? Say a bunch of them boys who we think is white. They just white around you who you don't know. Them people got national origins and they know what it is and they come with these same tricks. The red propagandists distort the fact concerning racial differences when I read that. America, what is it? Its counterparts in America. This creates the illusion that the white communists are different, that they are the friends and the champions of the Negroes. This is the same sucker bait the Reds used to win and use millions of white peoples now under the whiplash of the Soviet tyranny and dying to out derail. And the same thing with China when they try to use that same system. We got a nationalism, imperialism system, as Noble Joe Ali said it out for us to follow. That communist system, they tried that for a long time over there in the East. And both of that shit ain't out to nothing by a bunch of death and decadence. So if you want that, look for an example of how communists treat them, how that system treat them. And then actually won. So they took the Soviet road to freedom only to find a snare and a delusion. The fact that the Reds had never contributed anything tangible to the progress of the blacks, it overlooked. Though the Reds have collected, the only thing they give them is the same thing they give you now, a good feeling. We put on dashikis and kneel on TV, all the politicians, Nancy Pelosi and them. That's what they give you. They give you that emotional thing. I down with you because I did this. That's why I said don't bring that over here. Don't bring them illusions over here. If you ain't talking more history, then you ain't talking with me. That goes for Nancy Pelosi. Like she can't even talk to me about none of that fake shit. I'm gonna check her too. Who your national name, your nationality is, lady? That black and white shit out the window. He said the fact that the Reds had never contributed anything tangible. You gotta read that. Like the Communist Party, the NAACP have collected millions of dollars through exploitation of race issues and still the bigger race issues. The bigger the race issue, the bigger the appeal, and the bigger the contributions. And more money is all black and African and all that is commercial terms. And slavery is involved. These same old African companies and Roman companies is involved. Yet one cannot find any report of any of this money being spent for factories and shops to provide jobs, lands, and home construction, specialized training for talented youth, hospitals, convalescent homes, classes in sanitation, and see, because Noble Jolly already gave you a avenue to do that amongst you and your own people before this. That's the avenue. That's the stuff that he. That's the mind state that Mo's got off the top. We already know this. We ain't need the Kremlin to teach us or help us to do nothing. NAACP, none of these people we need. The church, none of these people. Personal hygiene, care, and upkeep of property, combating crime, juvenile delinquency, all Circle 7 shit. Centers to aid Moors, young Moors, in preparing to meet stiff employment competition in science and industry. You see, his mind state, he had to learn that his people don't got that mind state. It is then no accident that the NAACP is dubbed the National Association for the Agitation of Colored People. You can have nicknames. The record speaks for itself, mind of agitation. Not one cent for those that won the respect and acclaim of other races and national groups. The NAACP set up the situation that erupted into racial violence at Little Rock, Arkansas. Reds all over the world dramatized the racial incident created in Little Rock. So you see, just like George Floyd, as they're going around the world and we push as look at what a bad white American man doing. And that's why they beat them up on January 6th too, because the propaganda still going on. And the fact that they've been being white all this time, that's their punishment. The Reds after their ass again, they still on the chessboard. They gotta know who they is too in order to break free from the Reds. They ain't getting away from the Reds these days. The Reds on that ass. The Reds ain't playing. It's examples of how white Americans resort to extremes of violence, racial violence, to deny Negroes an education. So they take an event and they'll blow it up and say, look what's going on, y'all, even though in other places we ain't even going through that. We in our own schools and we ain't even, and we just looking at that shit on TV like everybody else eating popcorn, like, oh shit. So every communist party in Asia and Africa, it seems, was alerted to do a job on America. So put out a newspaper article as a propaganda piece. At the same time, here at home, they were screaming about the damage of our prestige abroad. Any way you look at it, it is a two-way Prancer movement against Uncle Sam. Therefore, we readily assume that any damage done to our prestige abroad should be at the feet of the NAACP and the Reds who started the trouble. What is significant is that those who spread the lie that violence erupted because Negro children are denied education have not repudiated it. Any confusion or misunderstanding created abroad has not been cleared up by the NAACP leadership. At no time have they admitted that no Negro in the United States is denied an education. Obviously, either you can teach yourself or in plenty public schools they are allowed to have you, and they always did. And two, they have not admitted that not every Negro wants an education for reasons better known to himself, which basically means not that type of education that they want, school, public schools. That accounts for many Negroes not being able to read or write. Moreover, there are free schools open both day and night for all those who want an education. There are Negro institutions of higher learning and integrated ones. And again, that Roman girl, she been a Black Lives Matter Antifa captivated girl, and she was talking to me, and she really thought she had to help me. She really thought she been helping me get against the so-called bad white man. She what we would call a white girl. So she been talking to me as if she even talking about her own people, and she really thought I get beat up by police and get racial people. She really thought I live in the 40s or something. Were beating me up with shit, white people. Like, none of that shit is real. But again, they ain't around now, so they don't know. They only know what they see on TV and shit. by the way I spread it out, I bet you she had plenty of respect for me after that. Seeing that, like, then I probably know his whole culture, and he different from everything I ever heard in my life. I tell her straight out, hey, a lot of people who just 'cause their skin dark now, they all don't fit in that one box of what you think you know. That there are Negro institutional higher learner and integrated ones based upon geographical lines that make available the highest type of training for those blacks to seek it. There are special scholarships and funds created by white philanthropists that enables Negroes to attain the finest university and colleges in the country. And he also stuff that you can do. You can, if you got some kind of funds, you can fund more education. And at that time, you had the means. Just that the mind state. If you ain't got the mind state to do those type of things, then you ain't gonna do it. So, why it's ironic is that most of the Negro leaders responsible for the incitement of the racial violence have. So, we'll start right there for this video, and end it. I think this will be the end. Probably not. Let me do one more thing before I forget, because in the last video I talk about these pictures, but I couldn't show it. So let me go there real quick. All right. So right here we got these same pictures. We see this one yesterday. See these two. And this collection is called Moors and Turks in the East and the West, Orientals and Orientals. So we see right here, we see this one is described as an African. And again, you see people get into that right there at the bottom, that little shit on their leg. And then they got the same one on this right here with the same little shit on his head and leg. Again, showing America. So they playing games based off complexion. And they call him Indian from Brazil. They got that same do-rag, ivory bead in his head. They say he might be a warrior because he got the bow and arrow. But he's using the same thing that he's doing now, looking at him. And he said his ship was crusted with the jewels and diamonds. Shit, he ain't that crushed compared to the other man. That we looked at. They call us the Moor of the Orient, the king of the Moors in the East. They got that same little do-rag shit too. So we can really point out who this man really is. One of these cruder paintings, black and white type paintings. Let me see. Okay, yeah, this one. They trying to find out who this is. I think this Walpa, who we see had a silver mine of Particy. You can tell by his crown, he got the same crown as his brother would be Atalaba. Atalaba got the same crown, but it's slightly different. And phenotypically, he looked a little like the picture for us Walpa. But just that, they could give you the light-skinned version of them all over the internet, and they gonna name this one Africa. But I think this Walpa, you can see he crusted jewels and pearls. They got the same thing as me and man with the Indian Brazil. Same dress, feather dress. And niggas going by. They're supposed to be intelligent. So in all these captions, they talk about the backgrounds. And they got all the same backgrounds in all these paintings and some of the same things. but they act like that can't give them an idea that, well, maybe all these people in the West, they showing you in the West meaning America, and that's how thick the spell is. Their skin dark, so the term Africa automatically gotta pop out, displacing them even in the past. And the people who here who look like him get rid of his ancestors that he can't connect to now because you're not seeing them 1,000 miles away. The people over there don't even know who this is. Like, who this is an Indian, right? And the Africans over there ain't got no name for this. Like, who's that? So ain't nobody got the history now. It's crazy. And you can tell he got some kind of noble king. He got a crown on and a scepter. Meaning he deal with both sides. And you see they jump right back to India. But you can tell the same painting. The background's the same and everything. People from one spot, different statuses though. And this one right here, they switch again back to Ethiopia because again, her skin dark, so they call this Ethiopian. Again, she got the feathers girl too. Her shit even more, and she got a soap one. And a whole lot more jewels and pearls, so she's a noble, a high noble over here. Moorish woman. They playing this game, they switch back again to Brazil. Going back and forth across the Atlantic. And she ain't as jeweled up as her sister like that. So they hate it now. Just all complexion. But you know, if that's the land of Moors, all these Moors, just because they under this Moorish hegemony, that don't mean that they ain't like right here we see mulatto. One person born of whom one is a Moor, and one of the other of another nation, which would be any nation. So in our modern day books, they say a black and a white person. So even this dictionary, you know that person ain't even called black, they even call a Moor. So yeah, they call. So we see right here, Adabla Atalipa, the West Indian king. You see his crown slightly different than man. He got the do-rag. About to get the same type of crown, feathers. Anyway, except for down here, he got his shoes off. He got the sandals, so Canaanite sandals. They got the same skirt type feather. We see the king of the Moors in the east. Got the same thing, it's slightly different, but similar. And you got the leg thing. So, you know what I'm saying? Argy bead in the middle of that diamond. As that other dude got a diamond. And he holding the thing just like him. That's gonna be man, got the same features a little bit in that painting. That painting showing us a much more detailed version. And that's the queen, Indian queen. And they call him an Ethiopian. Again, we have whole parts of this thing called Ethiopia, by some most will call Ethiopia. And I think there's some more of Brazil who is the Dutch. They would call themselves Dutchmen, because this means Duke in that language. But I believe the same painter paint there too. He paint different Moors in Morocco, which is a huge area. You got the west of Brazil and the east of Brazil. That should feel like the biggest country as being one borderland. Because you got a huge part of the country. So it could be a lot of different customs and cultures on those islands. So you can see. So this museum is just so retarded. They don't do no research, just looking at people's complexion and they displacing. Stop right there. Yeah, that's a Florida, so-called native of Florida. the same thing as my man who's the king of the malls. The same little do-rag hanging down the sides. And just like the so-called Arabs of the East, we got the do-rag with the crown over and the covering the circle. The band. Because our band crushed it. That's it. Just a little different in our crown. So, that's what I want to say. Yeah. He talked about in the last video that I think he is. I think you see how they read about it. When they write about it, they say Indian. We're saying Indian. And this one, he gotta be the African chocolate brown complexion man. But at the same time, they could be using that term just to mean dark skinned person. They could know that they still talking about one area and one bunch of people in one area. Because a lot of Europeans, they just call Moors African. That's their thing. And the young African who stands a dominant position, they talk about the one who been dressed with the long gown, long robe. I know we talked about that in the last video, not too far back. Yeah, right here. See, our Tabi, our brother, Hualpa, he look a little more thicker. And you know he got that same similar stuff as his brother. Now, all the other Hualpas pictures on the internet got a lighter skin version of him. It's the only one that got this dark complexion. And this right here, damn, how the hell I get back to that quick? So I believe that's who this is. His brother in the story. They look alike. One looks skinnier. That could be his brother too, probably, who knows. But right here, let's see, got the same type of crime but different. So you can start right there. Until next time, and peace.